everyone. This is Tamara from shelfaddiction.com, and welcome to another special live episode. We're here live today reviewing and recapping the latest episode of The Walking Dead Season 8. Whether you're listening live via Shelf Addiction or Spreaker, leave us a comment. We would love to hear your thoughts on last night's episode. If you enjoy live episodes, go ahead and share this on Twitter right now. Show your support by rating the podcast and leaving a positive review on Apple Podcast or your listening app of choice. Joining me today is PCS co-host, fellow TV junkie, and indie author Lisa Orban. If you're listening to this episode after we're off the air, you can still leave a comment. You can also find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. You can also find Lisa on Twitter at Lisa Orban Author. If you'd like to email in feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@shelfaddiction.com or leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe. The link is below in the show notes. All right, Lisa, round two.
All right. Let's do this. Are you ready to talk about The Walking Dead?
I am. Let's do it.
All right. So what did you think of last night's episode?
Well, let's just say that it was one of the better ones, but maybe not the best of the last three. I really did enjoy it, though. We got a lot of information and we got a lot of stuff to cover. What about you?
I liked it. I like the fact that they got us around to characters we haven't seen in a while and are starting to stitch the pieces together, so to speak. You know, the group is now, for the most part, all back together. You know, of course, we have Rick out there somewhere, but, you know, that's all right. And Michonne, of course.
Yep. Okay, so where should we start? Let's start. I had to do a little adjustment, so you kick it off, Lisa.
All right, I think Negan and the trebuchet. And I hope, okay, trebuchets, depending on how you make them, while can be effective, if they're not done right, also turn into, you know, explosion machines, you know, on the people that are working them. So I'm kind of hoping that it's not Eugene that puts it together. I hope it's some other idiot. And they over tension it and it just explodes instead of launching anything.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Because, you know, they look simple enough. And of course, there's several different kinds of trebuchet, but, you know, you got spring-loaded or slingshot type. But I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea. Although, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and I'm going, you know, come to think of it, why don't they have catapults on the walls of the settlements that they're defending? Why do they not have this? Because you don't have to launch big things at people. You can heat sand or pebbles and launch them at people, and they won't cool down immediately, which means you're getting like hot sand and, you know, getting flung in your face and down your clothing and in your shoes. And I'm here to tell you, if you get hit in the face with hot sand, you're not shooting anybody, giving their, you know, sharpshooters a chance to shoot without having to worry about anybody. But that's just me. That's just me. You know?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, you guys. For those of you that are listening live, I've got to apologize. If I am really delayed in answering Lisa, it's because we're still having audio problems. I don't know why. We do this every single week and we never have a problem, but now we are. So we're going to try to push through because I know we want to talk about the episode, but if there's a slight delay, just understand that's what's going on. Hope you'll stick with us.
Yeah, it's not that she's not paying attention to me. She finds me entertaining. That's why she keeps me around.
But I do find you entertaining, so that's a good thing.
But I did, and I like the interaction between him and Eugene this week. I thought that was kind of interesting, as Eugene sweated bullets as he went to go make bullets.
You know what? Eugene is funny. He's like, will there be wine? Of course. Yes. You can have your wine while you make your bullets.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you could see he was really worried because if they caught the father, and the doctor, would they turn on him? Would they rat him out? And you could see, I mean, he literally was sweating bullets standing there. And we all know at his heart, he is a coward. But you could also tell he was upset about, I think he's done. I think he's done with war. I think he's done with the whole fighting thing. He doesn't, and you can tell he didn't want to make the bullets either. He will, because self-preservation. But I think he's done.
He will make the bullets, and he will do it and give them over. But you're right. He doesn't want to. He was actually really nervous when Father Gabriel showed back up. He was looking oh no, what's going to happen?
And man, and I feel so bad for Father Gabriel, because this whole episode, the whole thing, he will walk with us, God, God is on our side, or good is on our side, however you want to put it, and they found the medicine he needed, and they found shelter, and they found this, and he made that magical shot. And then when he's feeling, I guess, that fullness of faith, or fullness of, I don't even want to call it faith, but that the all is right with the world, we're going to make it. And then the doctor gets shot. And then that was it. There was that crumbling, that absolute crumbling of his faith. And I don't know if Father Gabriel's going to be able to survive this one. That was a kind of like that final blow for him.
It would be a lot for him too. Yeah. I feel like, especially since a lot of this episode was dedicated to this whole like logic or science versus faith that kept kind of coming up again and again during the time that we saw Father Gabriel and Doc Carson.
And every time, Father Gabriel said it's about faith, he was rewarded. And every time the doctor says it's about logic, he was not. And then at that last minute when the doctor went, okay, I'm going to faith, I'm going to make my own. And he reached for that gun and was shot. Done. And it just... Yeah, and Gabriel immediately started crying, and his eyes may never, he's probably has lost his eyesight permanently. And, it was just, And now they have him making bullets.
Yeah, it was horrible. Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. I felt really bad for him because, to just see him kind of just crumble like that at the end. And he's like one of those characters that we've really started to like over time. He really was hateable early on. And as the seasons have come and gone, we've liked him a little more. And it's sad to see him fall like this, right? When we think he's going to...
And we were rooting for... I have been rooting for him. That's it, Gabriel. Get it together, man. Be the man that you always wanted to be, and he has become, and even, when he went to save Gregory, and that all went bad, and he ended up with the Saviors, but then he's like, I can still make this okay. I can bring the doctor back to Maggie. I can convince Eugene, and then he did.
Yeah.
And then they were on their way, and then all this good, things were just clicking into place.
Yeah.
Up until the very end, and that... It just crushed him. You could just tell.
It did. It really did. I'm like, oh my gosh. It was just so sad. But, that was important for us to see because we might get a change in his character again. Or it might make his faith even stronger because maybe he'll feel like after he gets over it, he needs to be there for Eugene to help him out. Maybe he's supposed to be there.
Right. And that could happen. But I think this is like really... I don't want to say the first time, but this is the first true time since he's ran into the Alexandria group, or Rick's group anyway, that his faith has truly been tested. He's gone through a lot, bad things have happened, but this was it. This was the one time his faith was truly tested because you could see that at that point, he had put all of his faith into God. All of his faith into the Almighty, that there was a plan, that there was a path, and he was surely, he was putting his feet, securely in front of him, and there was no doubt. And then to have that much faith shattered so suddenly it's going to be devastating for his character.
It will be. It will be. And, actually that whole time of watching them together, like all the little things that were going on, I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, you're walking around with a virus or an infection, and you can barely see, like his peripheral vision was gone.
God.
And he's up here trying to shoot a walker. And I'm like, of course, it's a 50-50 shot. And of course, he just nails it. I'm like, that dude can see. He would have missed. It's not like he was a perfect shot to begin with. So,
right.
I'm like,
oh,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they found that cabin and found the supplies and the antibiotics he needed. And I'm kind of wondering what happened to all that medicine, because there was a lot of medicine in that place that really, that I'm kind of hoping, because they did say that Jesus was out on a scavenger mission. I do hope he ends up there. Mm-hmm. He hears the shot and he goes to investigate and finds all that medicine and stuff, because there were a lot of supplies there that could be very useful to the hilltop at this point.
Yeah, and I thought about that too. I'm like, well, obviously they went to get in the vehicle to leave. What did they do with the medicine? I didn't see them carrying anything.
No, I didn't either. But according to that, because they found the map as well as the keys, ta-da, they were less than 2 miles from Hilltop.
Isn't that sad? That's so sad.
They were so close, man.
Yeah.
But they are close enough that if Jesus is in the area, we might see him show up there to see what's going on. And hopefully bring back medicines and supplies that they do need. And then we also found out that the doctor had securely hidden medicine, and he was the only one that knew where they were in Hilltop. So they'll be stumbling across that like 10 years from now.
I know, like, oh, this medicine. And, it's almost like I kind of expected the doctor to die right after, he escapes the walker trying to eat him. After that, I just kind of felt that I knew he would die. And that's technically they only need one doctor, right? And they now have one with Sadiq. Now that he's here, do we really need two?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, you do. But, the show's like, we have one. Do we need another one? I don't know.
Well, Sadiq was a resident. I mean, he's a doctor, but he's still a resident. The other guy was an actual full-fledged doctor. But I will say that the attrition rate for doctors on the show is terribly high.
Isn't it? Yeah, it is. You don't want to be a doctor.
Every doctor. And even, oh, God, I can't remember her name. The psychiatrist that turned into their medic/doctor.
Denise, I think her name was.
Yeah. She dies. The old guy dies, gets thrown into the fire by Negan, which was just stupid.
Yeah.
And, let's face it. I mean, Negan's group has actually been responsible for every doctor death in the last couple of seasons. It's either been Negan directly or people at Negan's behest.
Yeah.
So, he's not been kind.
No, actually those guys know they're going to get it, after they shot him. And that happened real fast, by the way. But they're like, oh, man, that's the doctor. What did you do that for? He's going to be so mad. They know.
But interesting. I think the one thing I did notice in this episode, I don't think Negan is holding it together as well as he has been. He looked, he was verbose and grandiose as always, but I think even more so than he has, it was laid on thicker, I guess is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And I think he's feeling the weight of Carl's death and the destruction of his little compound, and, he's seeing things unraveling around the edges.
Yeah. And
his lieutenants are now questioning what he's doing, which has never been an issue before. And I think he's starting to unravel like his little colony is. And so I think it's going to make him even more volatile, more unpredictable, and more dangerous.
Well, we kind of see a little bit of that right at the end of the episode when he takes his bat and he's like dipping his bat in the face of the walker. I'm ew, what is he doing? Like, oh gosh, that's going to be so gross. But
oh yeah. Cleaning that bat is going to be a nightmare.
I know. But I'm like, my goodness, like, really, dude? Okay. And I'm like, at first I thought, well, everyone's already technically infected, so all you have to do is kill them. But I guess he just wants to take it one step further and infect them faster. So.
Well,
Yeah.
and when the doctor came back, I mean, he did have an infection from, what happened with, covering himself with the walker goo.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, if you get, and I don't think it's so much, it's not that Gabriel would have turned any faster unless he had died. It's more of an infectious agency, because these are dead bodies, and dead bodies bloat and take on parasites. And,
oh, that's so nasty.
I know, but it's true.
Yeah, it is true. But think about it, though. They were covering themselves in this to get, from place to place without being detected. They were covering themselves in it.
Right. But again, I mean, we're talking about really ripe corpses at this point. That they're petri dishes. So, yeah. I mean, if you have an infection, if you get it into your eyes or into your mouth, the odds of you becoming sick, not from technically the Walker virus, but just infection, bacteria, and whatever else putrid things that have been brewing inside of these undead. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to roll around, right now without even a Walker virus. You don't want to roll around in a dead body that's been bloated.
Yeah, that's
you can
true.
get terribly sick. So, I mean, the same principle applies.
Talk about sick. I mean, they even, in the part where they were trying to get through the swamp to clear the swamp, I'm like, oh, that's so nasty. All those bloated, nasty walkers, and they're just in there walking around. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just as bad. That's just as bad.
I know.
It's gross.
All I could think of is, thank God they're pretty much stuck wherever they are. They weren't splashing around or moving around like that one little ravine thing that killed off the tiger.
Yeah. Can you imagine walking in that swamp area, getting shocked by a walker and some water splash in your face or in your mouth?
I know. And then you also have other things. I mean, going through something like that, I mean, you got water moccasins and, leeches and, there's gross stuff in water like that. Okay?
Oh, my gosh.
Aside from the walkers.
Leave it to The Walking Dead to gross us out. And I feel like they've been doing that at least once an episode. Like, we get grossed out at least one good time lately.
Not meat grinder bad, but,
Well, I don't know. Seeing that bat kind of rub up in that guy's face, and he's, like, rolling it slow. I'm like, oh, my goodness, what is he doing?
Yeah.
I was so grossed out.
Yeah. And we should probably talk a little bit about that moment between Saik and Maggie, too. I thought that was kind of a pivotal moment for Maggie, I think. When...
what part are you talking about? You mean after they discover that Carl's dead?
Well, no, yeah. And, Saik comes up to her and thanks her for the meal, and she says, it's not much. And he says, no, it's everything.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, she has been, she had already told the prisoners, you can't get out. We're not going to feed you. You're just going to starve to death here. I have to take care of my own people. And hearing that Carl died saving a stranger, and then to have that stranger come and say, no, this is everything. Mm-hmm. I think that there's that moment for Maggie where she went, perhaps I need to rethink some things.
Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of feel that with that choice, just like with other decisions she's made, there's no real winning, not really, because you're hurting your people to help prisoners, make it more humane for the prisoners who will turn on you. Most of them likely will turn on you given the chance. Should Negan show up, of course, turned. But on that same side, I guess you are kind of planting seeds for what could possibly be allies later, maybe.
And you have to, I mean, the one thing is if you are going to try and say that you are not Negan, that you are better than Negan, you can't act like Negan.
Yeah, but I don't think she's really... Honestly, I don't think any of them at this point are saying, I'm better than Negan. They're saying Negan is dreadful and we're going to kill him. I don't think they think that they're better because they're doing similar things, but their motivation is different, and they're not trying to have like little, minions. They're not doing that.
Right.
But at this point, I don't even think they're thinking of it like that. They're just trying to survive and be strategic.
Right. And, and I do understand that, but at the same time, you have to go, there comes a point where you have to decide whether you can still be the person that you want to be,
Yeah, the person I want to be is alive.
Yeah, but, sometimes being alive comes at too high a cost.
It does. Sometimes it does. But I don't know. It's kind of like hard to completely get in that mindset because we've never had to fight for our lives. We've never had to do that. So to kind of like get into the characters' minds in that way, I think it's hard for a lot of people. So everyone is like really supportive of, hey, let's do nice by the prisoners. Hey, let's make friends, because that's what most people would think. But none of us, or most of us, I'm not going to say none. Some people who've gone to war may feel that way, but none of us layman people have had to do that. So I think it's hard to kind of comprehend, especially like some of the other characters that don't feel like they should help them. They don't feel like they need to show mercy.
Right. But I do also know that, I mean, if they show these prisoners no mercy, there is no way that they will be later on able to go to Negan's people and say, hey, we'll treat you well. You should come to us. So, I mean, there's, sometimes it really is a matter of you may have to make sacrifices in the short term for long-term survival of the group.
Yes, but don't forget, she did kill one of them just a few short weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then number two, I do feel that, what is his name? What's that guy's name? The old leader of that group. Gregory. I feel like he is kind of messing with Maggie a little bit. Like he is trying to persuade her and get in her head a little bit. And Maggie,
I think Gregory's being Gregory. The little weaselly ass that he's always been.
yes, that is him. But she is not thinking... I don't think she's thinking independently. Like, she needs to be thinking big picture, true. Like, everything has a reaction. You do need to think like that. But I think that he is influencing her, even though she doesn't think he is. He is.
Honestly, I think if anything, Gregory is not, plucking her sympathy strings. I think he is reinforcing that, no, I am not treating you guys well. I am not doing anything for you. I think Gregory has done a lot more harm for that particular group than he may have influenced Maggie to help.
See, I don't know, because I think he's like trying to Jedi mind trick her. I feel like, he did get out. He was one of the first people to come out for the little walk around or whatever. If he was if she was anti-Gregory, she would have picked anyone else besides him. Right?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, the thing of it is taking him out, while he is a Weasley little thing, he is a coward. Yeah. I mean, base thing. I mean, he will not, even to save himself, Gregory is almost incapable of self-preservation. Not with the walkers, not when it came to, Negan's group. He will just kind of curl up into a fetal ball and whimper and wait for someone to save him.
Or run. He wants to run.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, taking him out is probably one of the least risky things that she could do. So she's letting him out. She's letting one other person out. Because she knows that Gregory is worthless. If anything, he would be more of a burden on the other person if they decided to act up. And she knows that about him.
Well, so one thing she also knows is he can't fight. He's not going to do anything physical because he can't fight. He can't do anything. So if that is the case, well, you're safe from him trying to beat someone up to get out, because he won't. He can't.
Right. So, exactly. Because he is a coward at heart. And if he had not been there surrounded by those walls and managed to convince people that he was a great, leader to begin with, he would have been long dead, because he can't survive this world. Not outside of Hilltop. He doesn't have it in him. I think he would have been one that, if it had not been him being where he was, he would have been dead first season. One of the first casualties. He just happened to be lucky. That's it.
He's been very lucky. Since we're talking about Hilltop, what did you think about, when the little boy Henry is, sitting there watching them in the pen, and he's like, who killed my brother? Yep. They're like, that kid's creeping us out. Can you get rid of him? Like, oh no.
I think, okay, so I think Henry is going to be the antithesis of what Carl was. Carl was the shining hope for the future, and I think Henry is going to be the shining example of what we don't want in our future. Because he is everything that Carl was not. He is, Carl has technically been through worse than what Henry has been through. I mean, he had to kill his own mother.
Yeah.
He has lost everything. He's had, he's been shot. He lost his eye. I mean, poor Carl had been through the ringer, and he still managed to come out the other side and be a good person and to be hopeful and to not, turn against everyone. Henry, I think, is just this side of rabid right now, and I think he's dangerous.
This is the same kid that went out to Carol, and Carol was like, "What are you doing? Get away from me. Go back." He's been trying to fight for a long time. Yeah,
and then I think that's the point. This is kind of him really. Once he killed the lieutenant, it's all over. He is not. The kid's not right in the head, and he never really has been, I don't think. And I think it was even like that before his brother died. It was just kind of, there was this nice layer of normalcy over, some bad stuff inside.
Yeah, I feel like he's a Merle. Like, he's like what Daryl's brother was. Like, he was just rotten to the core, like, from the very beginning.
And I think Henry is like that, too. I think he is... And he is going to be, because again, with Carl, everyone looked at him as the shining hope for the future. And that's how everyone at Hilltop, at Alexandria, even the ones that interacted with him at the Kingdom, looked at Carl and went, he is our future. They had children of their own, but it was still, everyone has looked at Carl for for at least the last 4 seasons now. This is our hope. Him. He is our future. He is our leader. And now you have Henry.
I know. But you know what, though? Morgan did try to help him. He did kind of throw him a bone, for lack of a better term. Yeah. He tells him that Gavin, the guy he killed, was the guy who killed his brother, even though that's not the truth.
Right.
He'll find out eventually that Jared actually killed his brother. But for now, he feels vindicated. Vindicated, yes. That, okay, I killed the guy that killed my brother. But I wonder if he is going to know really quickly, or it's going to be a while before he figures out that Morgan lied to him, and that's just going to be a whole nother thing.
Oh, it's going to be a mess. Yeah. But and the bad thing is it doesn't matter either way, because Henry is on a path. Henry reminds me a lot. He is right now paralleling the downward spiral of Morgan. And I don't see much good coming from it. I don't think Morgan will take Henry with him when he leaves. But I can see that he is paralleling that downward drift into savagery.
Yeah, I could see it. But speaking of being a savage, dude, Tara. Okay, let's talk about that group for a minute. Let's talk about that group. Because this chick, she's like a dog with a bone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Obsessed much? And I do understand. She lost a niece. A lot of bad things have happened. And I do even know that Dwight is at the center of it. I get it.
Yep.
At the same time, he is useful. All right? He may not be trustworthy, but he is useful. And they need every advantage they can get.
And they lost their advantage because they got caught, or he got caught trying to save them. He let them away, but they've lost the advantage. It's gone again.
Well, maybe. Now, the one thing, and I do think, okay, because I saw the sneak peek for next week, and there is a car chase. Okay?
Yeah.
and it's the only way that not Carl, Rick would have known where exactly to find Negan and what car he was in is if somebody told him. Mm-hmm. Which to me tells me that Dwight is now back with the Saviors, not turned to their side, but he is now feeding information once again to the Hilltop group. Yeah. So having him where he is useful, but and way more useful than dead.
Yes. And you know what? He could have died. Like, her vendetta against him could have got him killed, and then they would have had no one on the inside and no one on the outside helping, because he would have been dead. Either by her hand or by the hand of the Saviors when they found him. But thankfully he was able to think fast, and he weaseled himself out of it. Like, oh, I've been walking around all night, you know. But I mean, I get it. But if I were Tara, I would be plotting. I'd be scheming. I'd be like, I'm going to wait until we get where we need to go, until we got what we needed from him. And then I would kill him in his sleep. Like, not even playing. Like, if I wanted him that bad, I wouldn't be so impulsive. She's very impulsive. And that's just, it hurt them, you know?
Yeah, and Dwight even said, I understand what's going to happen at the end of this, but I hate Negan so much, I want to see this out to the end. Yeah. I don't care. And you can see, he literally, at this point, does not care what happens to him, as long as he can take Negan out before he dies.
Yeah,
that's
and he
all
knows
that matters to him.
He knows he's going to die. He's, like, accepted that he's going to die. But, like you said, he just wants Negan bad. He has it out for him. And so I would just let him be, because we have the same enemy right now, and he seems believable. So,
and, you know, and I definitely trust Dwight way more than I ever trusted Eugene. You know?
Yeah, because Dwight, he is like single focused. He is out for Negan, period. Eugene, we know he's a flip-flop. He will do what he needs to do to stay alive. Dwight doesn't feel that way.
Right. You know, self-preservation has nothing to do with self-preservation. This has nothing to do with keeping himself alive. He has one singular goal, and that is taking Negan down. And it's not even killing Negan, because he realizes it can't just be killing Negan, because he's been close enough, he could. Yeah. You know, it's more than that. He knows that he needs to work with the Hilltop people to end what is going on, which is a little more difficult than just shooting somebody.
For sure. And the fact that Dwight even brought up his ex, Sherry, that makes me wonder, because, you know, we never saw her dead anywhere. That makes me wonder if she's alive somewhere out there. And they'll come together again before Dwight dies. Dwight's not going to make it out this season. He's not.
No, I don't think so either. And you know, I wondered the same thing. I'm like, man, I wonder if she'll make like that last minute appearance and she's the one that kills Negan or something like that. You can see it, right?
You know, that the irony of that, right? Like,
you know, it'll be Rick. He's sitting in the corner. He's been shot or something or stabbed, and he can't do anything. And she swoops in, grabs up the gun, shoots Negan dead at the moment that Negan thinks he's triumphed. Yeah. I can see it. I don't think that's going to happen, but I could see it happening.
Yeah, I could too. I mean, but then, okay, so Dwight's gone. He goes back with the Saviors, leads them away. But then Daryl, like, really rips into Tara. I don't think I've seen him, like, yell like that. Do you recall another scene where he kind of just was hothead like that?
Well, him and Rick kind of got into it over the explosives.
Yeah. But he wasn't, like, yelling at him like a lunatic. I'm like, wow, he kind of just lost it. Because he does not trust Dwight. He doesn't. No. But he also, but he has a sense, I mean, but he looks long term, you know, and he knows how valuable Dwight is alive, and you know, killing him serves nobody, right. and the fact, and it's not that he trusts him, but he also, I think, as one caged animal to another, he could see that Dwight he's broken in spirit, but has enough of his spirit, you know, has enough of himself left that he's willing to see this through. Yeah, I don't know if he thinks that hard about it, because, you know, he was yelling at Tara for disobeying the order to leave Dwight alone. That was the argument. And then a few seconds later, then he's like, he's gone, he's going to sell us out. So, number one, you were going to kill him and we needed him, and now he's gone and he could sell us out. So he does not, at this point, he thinks that they're screwed now because he's gone.
But, well, I think as soon as he heard that, he led him away in the opposite direction when he could have just as easily led them in.
Yeah. But he doesn't, I don't think he thinks that's settled, though. I think he thinks, that's for now, but that could be different tomorrow.
I know. But I do know that since Dwight has changed sides, he has not wavered. And I don't think he will. I don't think he will waver at all. I know that, other people are having their doubts. I don't think he will, because he is committed to this course of action.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm trying to think from the point of the character. So I could see why Daryl does not trust him. Even though us as outsiders seeing both sides of the story, we don't think he's going to flip. But I don't think Daryl can grasp all of that. He just thinks he's untrustworthy. Well,
and again, he also saw it as they lost a valuable asset, something that they needed.
Yeah.
Now, again, now that Dwight is back with the group, he can once again start feeding them information, which is good, but it's going to be hard. But
Nika's going to be watching him like a hawk now.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We can... I do know that they say that the next couple of episodes are really going to be picking up the pace, and there's going to be more of this character rotation through, going around different groups and different people. We did see Enid, back at the hilltop. So
speaking of Enid, I feel like, on a side note, she was the only one that reacted in an appropriate way when they found out that Carl died. She cried. That was her friend. But everyone else, they were kind of standing there looking dumbfounded. That was not the reaction that I thought that people who have known Carl since he was a child would act when they found out that he died.
Yeah. Well, Maggie did. She cried too.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think when I think back to it, when I was watching it, I didn't really have any issue with the scene. But when I think back to it, I feel like I wanted more or something different from that, other than a bunch of music. I don't know. There really wasn't, because we as the audience have seen it before, or heard it all so far. So, so we could watch the reactions, but we didn't have to rehear the well, we didn't need to hear the story. I wanted the reaction.
Yeah. Well, and Carol is, you could see that Carol was upset, but Carol is not, she has changed so much. And, she doesn't let her feelings, show very much. And you can see that, Enid, of course, completely broke down. But Maggie also, she was crying. You could see that she was stunned, and you could see the tears in her eyes.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of the other people a lot of the other Hilltop people weren't as close to Carl.
I don't care about them. But I'm talking about the people that knew him and were with him for all that time. I don't know. Enid was, in my opinion, the only one that just kind of reacted in a way that I thought was in accordance to how she knew him.
Yeah, and I think part of with Maggie right now is I think she's actually in shock. She has been in shock since the night that they were stopped, and Simon killed the guy in the car with her. I don't think she has quite gotten over that. She's not, because if you look at her, she seems kind of detached, and it's not bitter, not sad, not.
She's tired, man. She's tired.
She's tired. She's pregnant. She's tired.
Yeah.
And I think she's, she's got a little post-traumatic, stress going on here, shock going on here, and so she's. I don't know that Maggie right now is really capable of giving that deep emotion like Enid did, because she's just, this whole weight of it. Yeah, she's wore out.
Yeah.
She's pregnant and she's lost her husband, and she, she has lost so much. This entire season, Maggie has just lost thing after, she's lost the doctor, she's lost her husband, she's lost, this, that, and the other. It's just been a series of losses for her on down the line as she's trying to keep this group together and fighting, with Gregory and all of that stuff. And I think she's starting to get a little numb because she just can't cope. I think she'll pull out of it. I think she'll bounce back. And I think now that, the Alexandria people are there and I think Saeed is going to be one of the things that's going to help her get through this. I think there's going to be something going on between, not like romantic, but I think he's going to be just enough of an outsider that he can listen to her, but a compassionate enough person that she can talk to him. And he's going to, I know that, like I said in the comic books, he was supposed to be Carl's second hand, first or right hand man. I think he might end up being that to Maggie.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions because we don't even know if Maggie's going to be in the next season.
Right.
At this point. Maybe. I don't know. This was a lot. Like, we had a lot to talk about, and I was glad about that. I liked the idea that they are moving from camp to camp and seeing different people, because like last week, they did the same kind of thing. It would get boring if we had to stick with one group. And I know at this point in the game, we're getting closer to the end of the season, and it's getting harder for them to keep the story moving forward. While, one person is waiting for that, another person is waiting for this. And it's like hard to keep the momentum going. But I think so far they've managed to maintain it, even though they're not fighting and all this war. But I do think that's coming in the next couple episodes. Yeah. I think we're going to have another big showdown.
Oh, yeah. And I think they're going to continue this kind of round robin of people. And that, so, as each group does things. And I think we're getting more of a reveal because, like, last season, or the first part of the season, and you and I both talked about this, the fact that we knew that there was a plan. None of us could even determine if it was a good or bad plan because they never told the audience what the plan was. Yeah. To this day, we still don't know what the actual plan is.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Is there a plan? Is there still a plan? Or are they just kind of winging it at this point because everything's gone left? So, we have... And that is the one thing that I did not like about last season, or the first part of the season, was they, at no point in this entire time did they ever actually tell us what the plan was, or even give us pieces of the plan. We're just rolling along, watching, going, well, is this part of the plan? Yeah. Is this part of the plan? None of us knew. When Rick went to the, ended up with the trash can. The trash can people, is this part of the plan or is this Rick going off on his own? So, on and on. So I do like that what they have done since the start of this half of the season, they have let us in as the audience and see more of, not, because they're not really planning yet, but we're actually seeing more of what's going on in that capacity. So I am liking that a lot better than being completely held in the dark from the first part. I did not like that. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people did. All they were doing was fighting, and they wanted us to just be okay with just all the fighting and getting nothing else. But the thing is, though, mostly all of the watchers of this show are people that are like vested in it, and they're smart watchers. They're going to question things. They're going to, critically watch it. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. Or that's, that's wrong. So they think they don't have lazy viewers. So they cannot get away with just, okay, let's have some shoot 'em up, cut off some heads. And there you go. Without, that's all we get.
Is part of the plan.
Right. Like, what are you talking about? Like, everyone was kind of like, what's going on? Like, they're just fighting all the time. So no one liked that.
Yeah. Like I said, they wouldn't even had to have revealed the entire plan, honestly, but just enough to, if they had given us enough to be able to determine with their actions that they were actually following along or if they were going rogue, so that we as an audience can go, oh no, get back on the plan, or oh, you're right, you should not be following that part of the plan right now. So we could have connected with them on that, and instead I was looking at it going, is this part of the plan?
Right.
Was this being stupid part of the plan? Or, it was really hard to make that determination, and I did not like that, because I'm going, why are you doing that?
Yeah. I get it. But they're doing better. I think actually they've had some different people working on the episodes. I think they had a woman producer I never saw before last night on The Talking Dead. I don't think I've seen her before.
I haven't either, I don't believe.
And they're leading into this new, changing of the guard for season 9. So maybe they're starting to do things a little bit differently because in preparation for what she wants, the new showrunner.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. I've got my fingers crossed because the first, I didn't mind the first half of the season, but I was frustrated with it a lot. Mm-hmm. This one I'm enjoying more because it feels like they're once again inviting us as the audience to participate as opposed to being passive watchers like they wanted us to be at the beginning of the season. And I didn't like the passive watcher role that they had given to us because we have been, as an audience, very involved in the show and not necessarily where we call it the producer, but we felt included like part of the group. And last season, at the beginning of the season, I don't feel that they conveyed that. Right. They made us outsiders, and I didn't appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what happens next week and see if they keep up the pace. Let's hope they do. I hope they keep this form going forward for the rest of the season because, like I said last week, oh, God, help us if we have to spend a whole episode at Oceanside. Please don't do it to us.
I don't think they will.
Yeah, please don't. I don't even want to spend a whole episode with the Saviors. I don't. I'm like, I can't take much of that. And
I don't think they will. I really think they're going to keep this rotation thing going.
Yeah.
They've done it fairly consistently now, and I think this is how they're going to, we're just going to keep this rolling through until the end of the season.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I hope so.
Yeah, me too. All right, awesome. So are we done with this episode, Lisa?
I think we are done.
Yes.
We talk a lot.
We did. But we had a rough start. Sorry, everyone that's listening live. But I figured it out. If you didn't notice, about 15 minutes in, I sorted it out.
I noticed because you were starting to respond faster to me.
Yeah. I'm like, problem solved. Yes. So I love when things get fixed. Only sooner, though.
Let's hope we never have this problem with this program again.
Oh, my gosh. Who you telling, girl? Right. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you guys on Sunday. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed today's The Walking Dead special live episode and you would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow both myself and Lisa on Twitter. Please follow the Shelf Addiction Podcast on Spreaker, the only place where you can listen live and get broadcast notifications so that you never miss a live episode. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy The Walking Dead. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy viewing.